I remember a night back home some distant years ago, as my dog ran along the road as fast as he could go. And I know that the past is gone, but some moments shine like gold. And I called as I followed, and all I called is yeah, I guess this song starts with the memory of being a kid in the country, central Victoria, a place called Tallarook, chasing my dog around. That feeling of being in the country, big open spaces, and following this like sprinting dog that you'll never ever catch, and like with your unbroken voice yelling after it, kind of thing. Like I originally, instead of the uwe, 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 I wanted to say kui. You know, I used to say like, ooh, like that really high one in the country, and just stick around. And but that was a bit, it didn't quite work when I tried it, so I kept it as a sort of a more melodic thing. Uwe, uwe, song, uwe, uwe, one. The song itself, from a compositional point of view, started with, I was listening to an African band called Orchestra Baka Gabini that I play to my daughter a lot. She really loves that, and that's pretty major, uplifting kind of West African music. And I was listening to that walking around this park in Paris, where we were living at the time, and this van pulled past, and it was playing this like super loud, like edgy, I think Jamaican music. It sounds like Razors and kind of fairy floss or something in sonic form, like just really kind of hyper. And all I heard was and then that line kind of got into my head that we turned into a guitar line in the song.
I sat down with one of Jan's guitars and tried to play it a few times and couldn't really get it, and I just put it down. I said, oh, that's as close as I'm getting, let's hire a real guitarist. And then Jan's studio magic happened, and it sounds like I played it right, so who knows?
You did play it right.
No, I didn't. And then it's that's combined with some sort of keyboard playing the same lines.
This is the line, the famous line.
Felix wanted something to sort of like answer the riff and answer some of the bridgy bits, and I wasn't sure how it was going to pan out because he already does that ooh bit, but then it kind of worked out. We found this thing, so and then we ended up sort of just looping it a fair bit, and Jan sort of just tuned it up, and we got the yeah, it just works.
He's got a knife, yes, sometimes when I wake up something ain't right, and then Surrendering to Chaos is probably a pretty good description for this one. It's a feeling that I associate a lot with performing live in this band, where you find yourself on stage doing things and kind of giving into a feeling of movement and just acting without thinking, really. And I love that feeling, you know, when it's good, and there's a real celebration for me, which is very chaotic. Lyrically, I really enjoy referencing other songs or other things. It's kind of worked for me. I think in Bridal and Gold I stumbled on that idea that you could just kind of reference familiar things and throw them all together and just sort of make this kind of chaotic collection of images.
Felix had a pretty good direction with his demo of where he wanted it to go. But often in the Chariot, the middle section is quite long, and then it's a really slow dub thing, but then when we want to lift the end of that middle section, we often do this double time thing where, you know, instead of, it's pretty low key like that, but to lift it up, you can go into this double thing. So I sort of thought about that, and we mucked around with it heaps of gigs, and I thought it'd be good to use that sort of thing. So yeah, together it's kind of like this. 1, 2, 3.
There's also a bass solo in this song.
Yeah, that was Felix's idea. I don't really do solos often enough to know what to do when someone asks me to do one, so I just went for the Nirvana technique, which is you just play the melody, like the guitar solo in Come As You Are is... You know, you just play the same thing that happens in the verse. So I did the same thing in this song. So.
This album's full of really difficult horn parts that I can't play live.
You wrote them all, didn't you?
Yeah. I got it right. This is a funny track. I didn't really bring in anything ready. I brought in more like scraps of things, or just waited for something to make sense. These lyrics were part of a completely different song that was really sweet. It was like a love song. And I wrote it for me and for Em, my wife, about this idea that it takes courage to keep going out and singing when you're down or when you're not feeling like you belong on stage. One day you wake up, and you find you're not invincible at all. But you still walk out into bright lights. Every heart is cheering for you now that it's your birthday. You're the queen of stolen diamonds. That's what you are. So it's totally different. One day you wake up, and you find you're not invincible at all. I think at the start of the day I had this feeling that I wanted to do something really intense with a really repetitive riff, which was that. And then so we did that, we played around with the drums, and then I thought, oh, I wonder what these lyrics will sound over the top of this. And they felt really good. It kind of totally changed the meaning as well. Every heart is beating for you now. That it's your birthday, you're the king of stolen diamonds. That's what you are. And I changed it to King of Stolen Diamonds. And I kind of thought about the way that as a band, we kind of steal a lot of stuff different places in the world.
Harry was really wanting to explore the kind of musicality of the band and kind of push the band in improvisation in the studio. And once the guys started kind of developing the groove, we just had to get a takedown before we played it too many times, just so it felt like it had that raw energy still. It was pretty instantaneous. And once we had that foundation of the kind of key band track, then we kept sort of building elements, obviously adding the brass and all of Jumps' parts, and then more synthesizers. And
Jan loves to layer up keyboards, which is always a real challenge when it comes to playing the songs live. You know, I have to play about 4 keyboard parts at once. And I've kind of had to split up my keyboard into all different zones in order to make it work. I think that tubey sound might have been a synth part. Yeah. And so, you know, that's just layered up with the bass, that. But it sounds more like ow, 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 ow. And it's like just turning knobs on the keyboard, trying to kind of sculpt the sound, essentially. And then there's like a longer, kind of, more of a paddy kind of sound. You know, just like a longer, kind of softer sound, and it's got like a tremolo on it.
I remember Harry ringing me going, I'm pretty sure you're going to really like this tune. And I remember, hearing it going, this is pretty crazy already. I guess I was just hearing that real classic sort of sit, heavy groove, kind of Fela Kuti style of things. So it was basically just adding to that nature of it, like with the sample and bringing as almost like a trance-like vibe to the song, which kind of happens anyway.
But I think one of the things that maybe is overlooked on this track because the instrumentation's so rich is how amazing the vocal is. We put a lot of energy into kind of getting you in that headspace where you could really deliver this really bombastic and kind of fearless vocal, and I think he did that. It sounds great.
Fine, you're not invincible at all, but you still walk out into bright lights. Every heart is cheering for you now. That is your birthday, you're the king of stolen diamonds. That's what you are. That's what you are.
We added that bit in after we recorded it.
Why you never let go? When I miss him, when I miss him, when I miss it. Why you never let go? Usually I start a song on piano. That's sometimes occasionally on guitar if I'm just messing around. But the piano has a very specific sound. It's a very acoustic instrument and a very familiar one. So usually when I'm on piano, it's to find a kind of a spark from within familiar sounds. But this one I was messing around on it. I'd bought a new Nord. That's a keyboard, and I was just going through all the different sounds on it, and I came across this sort of really cheesy horn synthy thing that they've got. I somehow stumbled into the line and I went like. It sounded really cool because of these trumpet sounds. I went, and that was it, like that line sort of came out, and I thought, oh, it sounds great on trumpets. And then it gave me the idea of, oh, it sounds like a real fanfare kind of marching band thing. And I thought, oh, I wanted to have a wall of sound, huge trumpets. I wanted to exaggerate it, you know, so it almost sounds synthetic on the album. And yeah, the song came from there. When you were seen, then I was not. When you were loved, then I was cut.
This song in particular, I mean, it's so simple. Felix had written all the parts, 4 horns on this recording. We added, which we don't always have, a baritone saxophone.
Then the lyrics were quite natural to write. Like when I had that first line, if I was 6 and you were 9, if you were darkness, I was sunshine. It was sort of like just paradox, paradox, paradox the whole time. And I wanted to finish at this line from When We Were Kings. It's one of my favourite films of all time. It's on Muhammad Ali. Someone yelled out, give us a poem, and he said, me, we. And I thought it was really beautiful. So that paradox thing about a self-struggle or singing to an audience or something like that was kind of resolved for me by this me, we. So. And are you all you are a part of me, Muhammad Ali, me, we.
This one's probably a bit harder. Like, there was quite a number of gaps sort of in the song. Felix and Jan are pretty sort of demanding of bringing something that has probably a bit more presence than some of the other samples. It took me a long time, but I kind of had a bit of a moment. Like when I heard it, I was like, this is sort of right. You know what I mean? This works. And so I got the first one, which works. And then the one that kicks in is that, which I kind of hear as Never Let Go.
Just one thing that I particularly love about the recording of this one is that we recorded a lot of the percussion. So in the verses and in the bridge, there's this really straight kind of stick part, and we record them all at double the speed of the track and then pitch them down an octave to give them this really deep kind of more kind of sample tapey sound, and I think it adds a lot of weight to the recording. I really like listening back to that.
It's also a cool way of getting around, like if you don't require so much from the drums in a bit, but you want some time there, it's a good way of getting around that without just playing time, you know. Doing something else where it actually sounds like a part, but it's really minimal and it's...
Well, I really love how in the kind of main hook section where there's this really kind of strong horn line, and there's just a kick and a snare on the drums. Like you don't play any cymbals or hi-hats, and I love that because it's just got so much energy.
Never let go. When I miss him, when I miss him, when I miss him. Why you never let go? When I miss him, when I miss him, when I miss him. Why you never let go? When you were seen, then I was not. When you were loved, then I was cut. When you were cruel, then I was kind. When I was yours, then you were mine.
Hey, you're living in a dream. You're burning all the oxygen.
Everyone had gone home and Jan and I were up late one night and just decided to have a few drinks and started throwing ideas at the computer to see what would come out, and basically ended up with a whole song. I can't remember what the song was like, but you know, we were pretty excited about it, and then we came back and played it to Harry, and it was like, I like that bit at the end, you know, scrap the rest. And that became the loop that is used in Barricades. It's kind of like a dub reggae kind of thing with a little piano kind of hook, I guess you could call it.
I had a bit of a scrapbook going on, and I had some lyrics and some melodies. I think it was actually I thought it was going to be 2 different songs that I ended up putting into this. And just the mood of what these guys had come up with helped me to put some ideas I had into a really different context.
Maybe your mother, what it seems, somewhere among the pyres of ashes and smoking glass, there is a...
And I think I changed a lot of the lyrics in the end because of how it felt. I was just imagining all these people like overweight, smoking a pack a day, hunched over their computers, withdrawn from the world, you know, and all that wasted potential, and all the people that had cruelty perpetrated on them, and all the people who, in one way or another, have been like plants that haven't been allowed to grow properly. Singing a song in support of all those people, you know. We have some of the best horn players in the country in our band, and I wanted to write a line that really pushed them to the limits of what they could do. And it is really, really bloody hard to play. Basically, it's like I can't even do it. I can't play it, but you kind of get the idea of, if you listen to the song now, you know which bit I'm talking about.
I remember you sitting on the couch in the control room, listening back to the track, like singing all these crazy lines, and I was so syncopated. And even the other one, you know, the
Yeah.
all those other ones, I was like, man, how are you gonna? Well, firstly, how are you gonna remember that, and how are you gonna teach that to the other guys?
Yeah.
It was really crazy.
Yeah, you know, I guess I've made it a bit of a personal mission. Like maybe 5 years ago, before these last 3 albums we did with Jan, I'd often look on the stage, I'd look at the horn section, and I could just tell they were a little bit like, you know, like, and I just thought like, oh, these poor guys, you know, I want to write them some repertoire that is fun for them and challenging, you know? And I think on this record in particular, I maybe pushed that too far at times, because some of the songs we actually can't play live. We needed like 20 takes to get it right.
I can only see you in silhouette. Turn yourself to the light so I can see your face. Only broken moments are sacrosanct. Turn yourself to the light so I can see your face, your beautiful face, your beautiful face, your beautiful face behind those barricades.
Operator, please, I can't get out my head. Tell me where
I don't know why it has to be this way, but it generally is that there's usually one song that's just really kind of hard to get down.
It was Steal the Light on a few albums ago, wasn't it?
Steal the Light, and in a way I felt, because we kind of revisited the groove of this one, and it was like one of those songs where you're kind of searching, trying to visualize what it had to be, and it wasn't till kind of later stages that it sort of clicked and we found its kind of pulse.
Yeah, that's true.
And it tends to be that sometimes, yeah, on each record we've done, there seems to be that kind of elusive song that you have to try and get down, and this was one of them.
The lyrics for this song had been around for a while. One of those songs, I wrote it on a guitar like this. Operator, please, I can't get out my head. Tell me where I'm going or where I'm being led. And then the chorus would go like, I'm gonna kill a man, jado, jado, gonna kill a man, jado, jado, kill a man, jado, jado, gonna kill a man, jado, jado, jado. Just that sort of thing. And I liked the word, like it started with, somehow with the word Kilimanjaro, like the mountain. And I heard Killaman. Probably because I'd been listening to Nina Simone a lot, and Cinnamon in particular. The lyrics I kind of liked. I felt like they were mysterious enough for me to be interesting, and I really like bringing those sorts of lyrics to this band these days. I don't like it so much when they feel prescribed. I like it when they're more unknown to me. A lot of the songs I write for this band these days, I imagine our crowd. You know, I have these distant memories of tours, and I often write songs after tours, and there's still that kind of echo of the crowd there in my mind, and I want to write for that feeling. It's kind of, we've got so many songs now that, you know, unless the song's really good, it's not going to make the set for the show. We went around on this song heaps of times before we got there, and it was like, you know, I wasn't happy with the bass line. I think you were copying my demo bass line for a while.
Oh, I can't remember what it was first, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a picked bass line.
Oh, that's right. It was almost the same line, but like... And kind of just stuck out as, you know, didn't really fit with the other stuff in the song, I guess.
Felix did some really elaborate demos, which was very helpful. And I remember I'd just gotten this iPad and I was able to manuscript kind of just on the iPad using my finger. So I wrote out all the songs and then just printed them off and sent them to the band. So we just had these charts, which is kind of a good way because we could look at the songs, have the structure in front of us, but then kind of reapproach the demos without having to listen to them again, which means that we can kind of reinvent the songs and play them in a way that's good for the studio.
Close your eyes and run. What's said is said. What's done is done. What happens is it's all for one and one for all. Till kingdom
come. It's just a bit of fun, this song. I wanted to make a song that's like some of the music we listen to on the tour bus. We get up on stage and most of the time we're like a kind of triumphal Latin party band, but then we're also super nerds, music nerds, you know, some more than others. Yeah, you know, things like odd time signatures, I don't know, intensely displaced rhythms, you know, technical runs, all these kind of things. And I think it's really fun to play. And also, as a rhythm section, this band's got some of the best musicians in the country. And sometimes it's fun just to kind of show them off a little bit.
But at the same time, I wanted it to be a song that stood up on an album of really strong songs and not just be like a novelty kind of thing. And so we just researched for a long time to make sure that it had everything that Harry wanted to express, but still felt like it really belonged on the record, and I think in the end it got there.
I felt like this song was probably one of the biggest journeys. Some of the other songs I talked about where they were hard to realise. This one definitely went to the most places, I reckon. You know, we had all these different sections.
That section that they were just playing, there was one part where I was convinced that the whole song just had to be that.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I think one thing that's worth mentioning too is how lucky we are. I mean, the whole rhythm section, but particularly Will, like, as a songwriter, to have a drummer, and all you guys, like, to have, like, I can come in with 4 chords and be like, I want to hear it like a kind of early 70s cop chase scene, and then I can say, oh, I want to hear it like a, you know, intense kind of drum and bass thing, and I can ask for anything. And Will would just be like, oh, you mean like this?
Can we hear the 70s cop show version of that tune?
You made it fast. We take it for granted, like we really do, like this thing of just being with Will, just like, oh, just change that, just do this. While you're doing this, just also do that, you know, and he just does it, you know. And he just throws out hundreds of ideas, and I have the privilege of sitting there and being like, nah, not that one, not that one, not that one, not that one, not that one. Oh, now you're getting what I wanted.
It's funny
Which I didn't know what I wanted.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because sometimes in the studio I've had days where I'm like, okay, Harry or Felix wants something, and I can't think, I need a break, like I can't think of what's right. I could play these things, but it's not feeling right. And there's other days where, you know, you do feel more inspired, where you can pull things out, and it ebbs and flows a lot for me.
It was really fun to learn this song because Harry kind of taught it to us a section at a time, and I can remember every time we got to the end of a section, I thought, cool, we know the song, but we didn't know the song yet because there were more parts we hadn't covered yet in each bit, and we kept zooming in, and yeah, it took us about 2 hours to learn, and before we ever knew what it sounded like. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. There's some of the most notes I've ever played in this band is in this song. There's one which is the
moment where we have a song in Spanish, and the artist De Pedro is singing on it. I got to know De Pedro when we played in, I think it was Winnipeg Folk Festival. They have these really well organised sort of sessions between musicians on stage where they just play each other's songs. I had this riff hanging around. It's a sort of a cumbia thing, very laid back, and started singing a melody. And usually when I sing something in Spanish, it's not because I speak Spanish, because I don't. It's because I sing something that I don't want to be in English, and I sort of make up sounds. It's a sort of gibberish with sort of shapes of valves and melodies that I kind of like. And then I call up our friend on Skype and say, oh, does this sound like anything in Spanish? And then they usually sort of decipher it, and then that becomes a song, and then I learn it badly, and that's how it happens. That was exactly how Like a Drum happened. I think that was the first time we did it, and then I've enjoyed that. And so, yeah, I mean, there's one song on the album where we're singing in Spanish, and there's another one which is in French, and that's featuring Eloise Mignon. And I sort of had a melody for the chorus figured out, and then I just asked Eloise to sing French on it because I thought it would be nice in French.
Why you never let go? Why you never let go?
It just seemed to be like a good idea, and she wrote something really easily. It was one of those songs that was written in about 10 minutes. I feel like the band has a really wonderful international career, and we have had for a long time, and these are places we've played, and it's just been really fun to have songs in other languages. It's connected us to an audience over there, I think, and I also remember being young and hearing music in another language and feeling like I understood it. I didn't know what they were saying, but I felt like it spoke to me somehow, and I wanted to kind of just have a little bit of that celebration of otherness in our songs.